All right. So, phase one. So, I was talking about, essentially, since I do the complete opposite of what weird Republicans do, whenever they have, like, expectations for people that they voyeur stalk. So basically, they just have like expectations for people that they voyeur stalk, and then if they don't get mastered by their expectations, then they start hack harassing them. Normative criminal behavior. So here's phase one, intel gathering. In ways, intel gathering leads in a segue. I'm going to talk about the segue aspects into a phase two, which is essentially deposition or questions that are more educated questions or hypothesis questions. Okay? So, a lot of this comes from my research at Dumb. And that Dumb, like me, intuitively does things in certain ways, but I like to quantify stuff. And then Dumb gets a better understanding, because then it becomes like an ex-military training manual or something. Okay? So a lot of these sometimes are because Dom likes to do things legally, but sometimes they don't quite understand what legal means. And so they have a potential for, always have had a potential based on their somewhat infatuations of CIA knock stuff or something like that. And so, but that they're always striving to not do anything illegal because they know that they're not supposed to do anything illegal when they do that stuff. Okay? So, phase one plus dark two, finding the bitches of pedo, and a segue methodology. So, essentially, reactions. Doing a broad-based gathering then sometimes builds reactions that then concise down where to start an insinuation questioning in phase two. Essentially, asking questions about high probability players that fit the models of the behind the scenes data. Okay, so a lot of times the field research in ways has compilation of data, and that from that data starts to have models be built. And then a secondary part of field researching becomes actively looking for high probability players in essentially decision making positions, all right? That then sometimes their reactions can be somewhat like intuitively place them in the position that the model is looking for a player in. Okay? So the model itself usually is a data set that lacks any actual human being, and that the player themselves is the human being that the investigation is looking for. And so the reactions sometimes, and then the high probability positionings of those people, essentially their reactions sometimes place them as a higher probability of being the person that the data was pulled and a model was built, and that then their reactions and their positions basically place them as highest probability people that the investigation would be potentially looking for. So a lot of times in segue, a lot of times the insinuation questions, essentially those people, they may not realize that I'm not specifically stating names except for publicly obtained information. Publicly attained information. publicly attained information. Publicly attained information. Publicly attained information. And that those names are publicly obtained information and can be utilized in my news broadcast. See, I am just asking why those people who have a high probability of being people that might fit into models, that is a question that investigative journalists ask questions. This is where these people are the communications go-to, and also people that fit into other side research models of secondary messaging uses by a Don Trump subversive agency system. Comms was the secondary meaning. And so, the whole idea is that you people don't own other people. You people don't dictate what other people do. Nobody has to follow your guys' pettily perfect little procedural plans at all. I can do my investigation in any fucking way I want. And since you people, basically one of these people, expected an investigation to be run in a specific, known, procedurally counter-opted way. See, what I know is that behind the scenes, people that do the stuff that I'm investigating end up knowing what the procedural methodologies of government investigation is. This is why I said private. Investigative journalism is private investigation, and I don't have to follow any fucking rules of you people and your government investigation procedural counter-ops. Do you all see that reactions and dictations lead into a high probability player of a model of a data set that I have compiled that leads towards the who? Fireplace? Does that two-word keyword set, does that cause a complete wake-up? You people fall into my freedom of press trap. Do you all see that it has all the second little messages? So you press start and then select, and then A for little pinkies, and then big B for little surly bitch cop. And so I like to show you people that basically my form, which I'm trying to turn into a more entertaining sensationalism, but that has real elite journalistic aspects to it. Okay, so one of the things about entertainment news is that a lot of times it lacks elitist journalist elitism. I mean, you know, the top level press kind of stuff, and that nobody likes that stuff, and it doesn't make any money. So I attempt to develop a broadcast journalism methodology that includes ideas that are interesting and old in ways, but new to the public, of the intelligence ideas in freedom of press, including ghost pages. And see, I like to do real elite journalism in like a fun CIA ghost knock way. All right? Completely legal, and that I'm basically what I've found is that in some ways there's a lot of entertainment value to taking people down the road of the whole investigation. See, everybody is used to undercover investigations and stuff. But imagine an entertaining, here is my blatant investigation. Day by day, day by day, with ultimate ghost knock pages. And see, intellectuals and military guys and tech nerds, they don't necessarily, well, the whole idea is that newsies in the Democratic Party, they'll like this too. They will. And so then that's one customer group or viewer group. And then military guys will love weird ghost knock, weird page stuff. Okay, they just will. Doesn't matter who the fuck they are. And that then, essentially, other people in the Democratic Party, a lot of what this is about taking people down a road of logic and rationality, about conclusionary investigations of in a press way. All right? And then as people start to see the thought process of the investigator and why certain things are said and ideas are insinuated, so to speak, then you'll start to see and people will start to understand the logic, and then they'll start to see what the investigator, in my case, is getting at. All right? And see, I have a pretty decent ability of understanding how to take the ways that I think and how to explain to the viewers. And then what news is really meant for in freedom of press is to inform the public. It's meant to inform the public. Do you all understand what news is actually for? To inform the public of truth, to inform the public of facts, to inform the public of the problems that make people like uneducated in the fucking world. That is what NBC Nightly News is for. And you see that PBS and elite journalism is not really pulling in the ratings anymore, but they are elite journalism. This, my methodologies may be abstract, but it's also considered elite journalism also. And you see that I've stumbled upon a potential for a more elite journalism being more palatable to the public in a way that might get people to be informed. See, the 24-hour stuff, this works in that way too. Fox News has been a testing ground for what is a liberal elite genius to notice a bunch of people doing everything wrong. And then taking that dumb bitch corpse, pulling out all things useful, and then compiling some new ideas. Seeing Fox News like Super Powerhouse Money Corp. Is this idea something? Imagine if dumb journalists or dumb, well, they usually have a couple of decent journalists that have elite journalism credentials. Imagine if there was from the boots on the ground. Little thing in the corner. Here I am, boots on the ground. In this YouTube, even the like video frame box way. Right? And so that is something where Super Powerhouse Money Corps. Here's live from our news anchor of ultimate intelligence on the ground. Here I am on the ground. All right? In a way, that's a more exaggerated idea, but the whole reality is that is the type of stuff that, the whole idea is that I know the dangers of a shitty press. Okay, the more they have to make things like dumb plays and shit, the more that that becomes the way of informing people of logic and rationality and truth and shit, okay? And so with that, there has to be something that gets the viewers to actually look at news again, and that is important. That's important, okay? So that's where these ideas of essentially, the investigative journal, the bitches, basically, the bitches in the field that find all the stuff for like Rachel Maddow and shit, essentially those people can be utilized as like a, here I am in the nitty gritty down here in this Kiev or something, and that then basically, but you could do it for anything. You can use that idea in ways for a lot of stuff. Here I am doing an investigation on deputy gang. Yes, boots on the ground. And since I happen to be the investigator and the bitch and the news anchor also, that is where this is my freelance journalism, and then I utilize social media, right? And it's a whole brand new, like, potential monetized blog in the world that basically I invented, right? And so that's why I say these are the theoretics of a lot of this stuff. See, when you put the secret codes, the Q in, and start going weird about that. When all the conservatives are like, but it's Rick Perry pedal bang like clearance. So, okay. These are some of my special abilities. And so the whole idea is that in Rick Perry pedal bang QAnon, during Don's Trump reign, then Don Trump would have allowed like harassment or something if somebody was like ghost paging or something in the press. Why do you people get in the way of my demonstration? And so see, the reality is they have a whole alternate reality in the Republican Party that seems to think that they can silence press for some reason, and that then if people don't fall into their pedo bank page methods right, then they think that the person is a knockout, and that then that is basically what outs those people as pedo bangers, okay?